Talking Grit, a Detroit Lions podcast.
Welcome to Talking Grit. I am Jason Harwood. With me is Jacob Litton. You might know some changes around here lately. We've upgraded. We got a new hosting site, so it might see some ads, which we kind of regret having to do. But part of this upgrade is that we're going to have access to better guests. So that is what Jacob and I are super excited about. So we're hoping that, it leads to a better show for all you listeners out there. Something that, Jacob, we've been doing this for 2 years now. So it's time that we've upgraded a little bit. So we're excited about this change. Excited for you, and we're excited for us. How you feel about it?
Absolutely. Oh, I feel great, especially the prospects. That's when we first started. One of the things was trying to get some better guests and trying to get in with some of these people. And maybe we're getting closer, right? We're getting warmer.
Yeah,
We'll see.
we are.
We already had some pretty good guests so far, better than I thought, honestly, to this point. So, yeah, excited to see what happens with this next step.
Yeah, it'll be fun, and I'm like Jacob said, he's excited. I'm excited, and so we're gonna get right into the show. We're gonna, we usually do a little preamble, but we're just gonna get right into the show. We're gonna try to change things up a little bit. First, I want to hit is some comments. We've been getting a lot of comments on Spotify. I want to remind everybody about, doing reviews. We're up to 46. We're only 4 away from my goal, which you guys are hitting it out of the park. Like that home run derby last night was out of the park.
Yeah.
You guys hitting these reviews is same thing. So we're excited about that, but we're also getting a lot of comments, especially on Spotify. So keep it coming. We love reading them. In fact, when we get to the 4th comment on here, you basically give us a whole show that we're going to be talking about. So we'll hit you up on that. But first comment that we got was Kayla Orms. He says, the biggest difference I keep hearing about between Bijan and Gibbs is pass blocking, which Monty was great at. So when you hear that, Jacob, what do you think about that?
I don't think it's that big of a difference, but I agree with what they're saying. Obviously, David Montgomery was much better in pass protection than Jameer Gibbs is. So maybe that's what people perceive Bijan to be, a better pass blocker, and that's what gives him a leg up. But they are so similar in most aspects of their game. I don't know that they're that far different. I can't really say that I've watched Bijan's pass blocking up too close, but it's obviously something that Gibbs could improve.
Yes.
And we're going to miss
100%.
David Montgomery being able to do that.
But yeah, I agree with you. I think the first Minnesota game, it stands out to us. They kept taking advantage of Gibbs rushing and a lot of that. I think I also put on confusion for the front line. I just don't think that we were prepared to block a Brian Flores defense. It was, especially with the line that we had last year, they weren't prepared for it. So I think he does have to improve, but I don't think it's as bad as the eye test on that. I think that was the offensive line, and the offensive line has improved this year. So hopefully that we'll see an improvement from Gibbs too. But if he's going to be your bell cow, he's going to have to be able to block, right? You're going to have to be able to count on him in that position.
At some point, they're going to rush more than the offensive line can block. You got to be able to stand in there and block. Give Goff, especially Goff, give him, some time.
Yeah, whether he needs to, chip or do whatever to be able to give Goff some time to unload and hit a lot of his targets on the outside. Next comment comes from Braylon Pitts. Go Lions! It says, I love the podcast. I live in Austin and have this argument every day. Obviously, take a side with Gibbs. Out of the two of us here, I'm the one that put Gibbs 1. Jacob put Gibbs 2. He has Bijan. Who's the true Lions fan? I don't know. That's for you, the listener, to decide. But
that's not fair. That could be a homer take, right?
I know. Either way, you're screwed, right? No matter what, you put your opinion out there, you gotta get called on it. Next comment comes from Adam Rhodes, and when I saw this comment, this was like the most perfect comment that we could have asked for. So it says, I am so impressed with these guys. I've listened to every episode since I thought I lost a friend when POD briefly went away. I think we've all thought I could own my own podcast, but I know no one would listen to me for a whole show. These guys are very knowledgeable, very interesting, and really professional. We fooled them. Keep up the great work, Jason and Jacob. You guys are crushing it. That comment made my day when I read that. That's exactly what Jacob and I are going for this podcast, the word in there that I really like is professional. Obviously, we don't do this. We're not beat writers. We don't do this for a living, but we try to be fair and balanced. We have our own biases, which we just mentioned, like not even 30 seconds ago, but we try to keep that in check as best as we can and just have a fun show. And really, I couldn't ask for a better podcast partner than Jacob. I think that we work so well together. So I'm happy that we're, hanging on here 2 years
Appreciate
later.
that, man. Right.
Yeah.
No, it's clicked. Comments like that are awesome. That really did mean a lot. Made my day also.
Yeah.
Kind of reaffirmed that maybe we are doing a good job and we are, better than we thought.
Yeah.
It's not very often that Jason here is very knowledgeable and very interesting. So I can see why
know.
he thought that one was a good one.
Yeah, I know. Usually there's a negative in front of it. Not very knowledgeable, not very interesting. So I was looking for that, but no, it's not there. But no, we appreciate it, Adam. Keep on listening. The last one, we're not going to answer the question that's in here because that's basically going to be a show, and we're hoping next week with a special guest, but we'll see how that works out. It is Jake Strand, who's commented many times before. He says, long-time commenter, long-time listener. So thank you again. But do you guys think Bijan and Gibbs could be this generation's Barry and Emmett? And when I saw that, I was like, that's perfect. We, need a topic in a little bit. And then I like that topic. So we're going to hold on to that next week. We're going to add some stuff to it. But thank you, Jake, for giving us a great topic for next week. All right, Jacob, we are going to head into our last position for the QB breakdown. Now, we did running back last week, which I had so much fun doing the 5 all-time and then the 5, current. It was fun. We had different players on our list. It was fun just to go through that. I'm expecting some really good conversation, both when we get to the NFC North and when we get to those other lists. So I'm really excited about that. If you're here and you comment, I want to hear your list, or send us on Spotify your top 5. Both current and all time, because I think that you and I come from 2 different generations are gonna, our lists are gonna differ a lot when the all time. So, and
Absolutely.
I think it'll be great.
purposely, like, spoiler alert for my all time, I purposely put people that I knew in the height of when I was watching football. So that's going to be less people that were like, 90s. I think my cutoff really was like 2001, 2002.
Okay.
So I'm sure that yours are going to be different than mine. Even though there's some all-timers right around there, I purposely left them off so that we could have that sort of discussion, and so I could speak from, a little bit more knowledgeable from actually seeing them. So
yeah,
excited for when we do that.
Yeah.
As far as top 3 Lions, I think that I already know your 3. I don't know if you'll guess my 3, but
how do you know my 3?
I just know because I feel like there's 2 correct answers and there's a third one that's kind of a wild card. And I think I know your wild card.
All right. Cool.
I could be wrong, but
we'll see.
We're going to get there.
See. All right. So I'll remind everybody to follow us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. Make sure you subscribe, download, give us some comments. You can also talk to us directly at Twitter at Talking Grit Pod. Glad to have some conversation there. And obviously you can follow us on YouTube. Jacob, let's start with the QB room. Obviously, these rooms are going to be the smallest room, so it'll give us a little more room to talk about each team a little bit more than we've had in the past with these positions. Why don't you start with the Lions quarterbacks? Everyone knows who's on our team, but why don't you go ahead and tell them anyway?
Okay. Lions quarterbacks. You did not put the phonetic spelling, so I'm going to give it my best shot here. Jared Goff is the starter. Teddy Bridgewater, and then Luke Altmaier is the undrafted free agent camp body this year. So what are your thoughts? I mean, it's hard for me when we talk about we're going through the quarterback rooms. When you go through the receiver room and the other positions, there's way more to look at. But when you're looking at quarterback room, you're basically looking who's got the best starting quarterback and then who would have the least drop off between their starter to their backup, right? Mm-hmm. That's kind of what I was looking at. So what are your thoughts here on our quarterback situation?
I mean, I just think when you look at all these teams, if we get to the second option, that team's screwed. Like, you're in some trouble. I do like Teddy. I like having his experience. Last year he played. The year before he took off. He has not played consistently in a long time in the NFL. So if Goff were out with a major injury, I don't care how experienced Teddy is, we'd have a significant drop off, in my opinion. But you get into an end of the game, Goff would get hurt in the fourth quarter. You could trust Teddy to come in the game and to manage the game well and not make mistakes. So
Hand
I'm
it off to
thankful.
Jameson Williams.
Yeah. Hey, it was a winning play. It was a touchdown, right? It was like the best drive of that game.
Yeah.
Um, you know, don't hand them off to the pass with Jameson Williams like we did later on in that game.
Oh
You
man.
could just let
You
him
always
run
find
for
a
the
way to just
touchdown.
bring the energy right back out.
No, that's all right. I am the balancer. So the one that is new to everybody is Luke Altmaier, the undrafted free agent that we got this year. The thing that we're hearing from the team is he's poised and he is prepared and he's confident is the thing they're getting. He's gonna go in there and he's confident he can get the job done. I don't think there's any chance he supplants Teddy Bridgewater, especially early in this season or in training camp. That would be a major surprise for me. But is he going to make the practice squad? Is he good enough to make the practice squad, make it through training camp, and then we, like this kid enough that we hang on to him? That'll be the question that we have in the training camp as far as the quarterback room.
I just don't see any way that he makes the team. I mean, he would have to really, really explode to be able to surpass Teddy Bridgewater just because of the veteran experience. But what we're hoping, or what I'm hoping to see out of him, is that he plays well enough. He's going to get a ton of reps in the preseason, but you hope that you see enough out of him to warrant keeping him on the practice squad and maybe feeling like we've got a backup quarterback of the future, right?
Yep.
And I mean, he's got several years starting experience at Illinois. He did not play bad at Illinois. Illinois is not known for having a great team, but there's no way that you have very high expectations for him right now.
No. But like I said, we're going to see a lot in the preseason. If he has some good plays, then he will become a preseason darling. And there will be people that will be saying he should be, our backup. He's playing better than Teddy. But I think also what a backup quarterback is going to do, especially for Jared Goff, is he knows how to look at film, right? He knows how to run the second team. He knows how to get guys lower on the depth chart, raise them up. That's what Teddy's there for, that he's going to be able to do better than Luke Altmaier at this point. Luke Altmaier might have a better arm than Teddy at this point, but Teddy just does so much else. And also Teddy also has a really good relationship with JMO. And I think a lot of people attribute JMO's maturity to Teddy's role on this team, previous role, like 2 years ago when he was with this team.
True. Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah. So got some in the chat, WMW2. He hasn't been on in a little bit. So he says, gentlemen, so what's up? I want to know your 3 all-time favorite Lion quarterbacks. 2 are probably a given. The third one will tell you what time period you were in. So I want that in the chat.
Yes.
All right, Jacob. Vikings quarterbacks. Got 3 of them. This is the only room where there is any sort of a QB challenge, like as far as who's going to be the starter. I think it's pretty much a given that it's going to be Kyler Murray. But could JJ supplant Kyler? He'd have to play well in the preseason. I think if you're the Vikings, you'd really want JJ to have a really good preseason and show that he's a starter. You're paying him rookie wage. You're not paying Kyler. You're paying Kyler the minimum right now. But Kyler's going to want to get paid. If Kyler has a good year this year, he's going to want to get paid. So it's an interesting conundrum. Like, yeah, you got this Kyler guy, you want him to be successful, but he's going to cost you a lot of money, and then he's going to cost a year of development for JJ McCarthy. It's kind of a weird balance. You also have Carson Wentz still on the team and Max Brosmer, the undrafted free agent that was out there beating the Detroit Lions at Christmas Day, right? That
Why?
I'm just
Yet
trying
again, you can't just let it go.
No, I can't. I'm bringing it down.
You bring that up, and then I instantly get bummed out again. Reminds me of that Christmas.
I just picture you crying by the Christmas tree, and that's what I
There's
picture.
that family dinner. I'm at family dinner watching the Lions game, just in shock. So thank you for bringing me back to the later part of Christmas that was sucky.
What do you think about this quarterback room? I mean, Do you think Kyler's going to be the guy? I have a feeling that I'm higher on Kyler than you are.
I am not high on Kyler Murray at all. I feel the Vikings completely have like butchered this situation with JJ McCarthy anyway. And it's funny because you look at these and it's like, okay, the Vikings actually have 3 first-round quarterbacks on their roster with the Lions with 2. But I think that they are trying to admit defeat on JJ McCarthy, and I feel like they're letting Kyler. They want Kyler to win the job. They want to just move on. In my opinion, that's what it feels like, is that they just want Kyler to win the job. They want to move on. O'Connell's got to do something. To have the success they had with Darnold, to have the drop-off that they did last year, which I don't think you can blame all on McCarthy, but he was not making the throws when he needed to make the throws either. It's going to be a training camp battle. If these were the quarterbacks for the Lions, I would think it's a completely wide open race. The best man wins. They're not. It's on the Vikings, and I really think that they're going to give Kyler Murray the step up here. The knock on Kyler has been the same thing year in and year out. He does not have good leadership. He doesn't seem to care a whole lot about the team and about studying, preparing for games and different things like that. You hear the same stuff year in and year out from all throughout the Cardinals organization. Kyler tries to combat that, but it resulted in a very ugly exit, and now here he is playing for minimum for the Vikings, trying to earn himself another contract and trying to extend his career. So the only way this turns out for the Vikings, in my opinion, is if Kyler cleans up his act, if he just really tries, I guess. If he's giving it 110%, if he's taking it seriously, he's studying the film, he's going through the drills, he's staying off of the Xbox, if he's doing everything right, he had the talent, right? And there's potential that he could have a good year and earn himself another payday. I just think that if he was able to do that, he would have did it in Arizona. So I don't think that there's going to be a better outcome for them. And I think they've got themselves in a situation where if it's week 2 and Kyler Murray has thrown 3 interceptions at halftime, obviously that's going to be the question everybody asks is, when do you put in JJ McCarthy? Now you've got JJ McCarthy. There's somebody constantly breathing down the other one's neck. Same thing if JJ does somehow win the job at the beginning. First bad throw, they're going to be calling for Kyler. And that's just a huge distraction that you don't want. And Carson Wentz is definitely a backup. Obviously, he had his chance last year too, but I just think the Vikings quarterback room is a mess.
Yeah, they say if you got 2 quarterbacks, you got 0 quarterbacks, right? That's the old saying. You want to have what we have. Jared Goff's the unquestioned starter, and then everybody else knows their role. The thing that I'm concerned about is the Vikings seem to do better when they have like a veteran quarterback down there. Yeah, Kirk Cousins that did good, and then you had Sam Darnold that came in, played really well. Will they do the same thing with Kyler Murray? Will he be able to? Will Kevin O'Connell be able to push the buttons with Kyler Murray that he was able to push with those other guys and get them, to excel? He's obviously got weapons. He's got Jordan Addison. He's got Justin Jefferson on the outside. His best wide receivers combination that Kyler Murray's ever had in his career. Will he be able to produce? He'll have the incentive to produce. If he has a really good year, he's a free agent after this year, and he could go, the Jets may be willing to pay for him. So maybe it's Miami. Someone's going to be willing to pay for his services if he has a really good year. So this is an interesting room. Even through training camp and preseason, those preseason games will be interesting to watch just to see who they're giving first team reps to. Are they going to trade back and forth? Does JJ start one game and then Kyler start, or is Kyler getting all 3 games? I'm curious to see how that's all going to break down.
I just don't see, unless Kyler Murray or JJ McCarthy, whoever he picks as a starter, unless they have a great year, especially if it's JJ McCarthy, this just comes out looking terrible on O'Connell, right? He's supposed to be like the quarterback whisperer. He's supposed to be able to do these things, and they let him have his pick. They went with JJ McCarthy, which who knows if that was really his pick or if that was the GM's there. But, regardless, he got his rookie quarterback. This is who he's supposed to be able to train. JJ got hurt. He played, he got injured again last year. He had the whole thing. I just think unless they have an amazing season, O'Connell comes out of this looking very bad. And he's going to be, if they have a bad season, I would say he's on the hot seat. And that would only be 2 years removed from, the outstanding season they had with Darnold.
Yeah. Do you know when the last time the Vikings won a playoff game?
How long ago?
It's 2019. It's been 7 years, so it's been quite a while for them. And yeah, Kevin O'Connell, it's gonna if they have a poor year this year, regardless of what you think, like the GM and all that stuff that set him back, he he is surprisingly going to be on the hot seat after winning 14 games and coach of the year 2 years ago. It goes fast in the NFL, man. You got
Right.
to keep producing year after year. All right, let's move on to the Bears quarterback situation. Our favorite quarterback in the division, right? Or maybe second favorite. I don't know. But best nickname, the Iceman, Caleb Williams. Then you got Tyson Bagent, Case Keenum, still in this league. Case Keenum still collecting paychecks. And then they have an undrafted free agent from this year, Miller Moss. So 4 quarterbacks for the Vikings, 4 for the Bears, and the Lions are only carrying 3 at this current time, which is typically what they carry. What do you think about this room, Jacob? You got the first overall pick in 2024, and then you have 3 undrafted free agents after that. But they did sign Tyson to a contract last year. They wanted to keep him around.
I don't know what to make of this backup situation, right? Because you've got Case Keenum that's a veteran. You would think that they would feel more comfortable bringing him in if something happened to Caleb Williams. But they did re-sign Bagent, right? And Bagent had like some flashes in the preseason, I believe, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah.
Obviously, all of that is moot because they want Caleb Williams to take all the snaps. I think it's a big year for Caleb Williams because they had moderate success last year, but they treated it as if they won the Super Bowl, right? They, they still have not had a 4,000-yard passer, but you would have thought Caleb Williams passed for 6,000 yards the way they're treating him.
Yeah.
He's just, the king of Chicago right now, the talk of the town, the Madden cover. I don't think that Caleb Williams is a bad quarterback. I actually like Caleb Williams as a quarterback. It was the leadership and all the other stuff that we weren't sure about coming out of, the draft, which is still kind of up in the air. But he's got Ben Johnson. He's got a good system. And I think he has the tools to be successful again and have another good year. He could also fall flat on his face. It's very hard for me to gauge what a successful season would look like for them, right? Because I mean, if he throws for 3,800 yards again, and if they win the division, you'd think they'd have to be okay with winning the division, but you want better play from your quarterback, right?
Mhm.
Regardless of whatever they're talking about, regardless of the Iceman and how cold he is in the fourth quarter when he sucked the previous 3, I just feel like there's a target that they're looking at. They need better play. They need more consistent play. They need to not have to win these games deep in the fourth quarter. They need to find ways to put the game away well before then. And I don't think that they are going to be able to do that. They've got a more difficult schedule. I think they're coming back to reality. But I think it's a big year for Caleb Williams. Now he's had a couple years into it. He's with Ben Johnson again. He potentially could blow up. I think he has the tools on offense to actually have 4,000 plus yards and have a great, amazing season. I hope it doesn't happen, and I don't see it happening. I don't think the Bears are going to have that much success. But got to give credit where credit is due, and I will say talent-wise and everything, he's a good quarterback and is able to pull that off.
I think for him, you mentioned what's a successful season for him. I mean, as a quarterback wise, it's got to be playing better 1 through 3, first quarter through third quarter, and keeping drives alive. We saw it in the Lions. Like those games were out of hand by the second half, and we just didn't have the turnovers. I mean, the first game was way out of hand. We won we had 50 points. Even the second game could have swung back had we had turnovers. That was what gave Caleb his fourth quarter chances. And there's only so many games you could be able to do Superman with. We saw it with Stafford, where you'd have wild swings from one year to the next in win totals because of fourth quarter comebacks. And Stafford, you just make things happen, and it just would happen in a season, and then the next season that will those same results wouldn't happen in the fourth quarter, or those opportunities wouldn't be there. So for Caleb to grow, he's going to have to play better so that he doesn't have to play comeback player in the fourth quarter, because what you could see happening is him expecting to be able to be Superman in the fourth quarter, and throwing picks, and the game gets super out of hand even more. And then as the season goes on, and they have a tough schedule, like you said, then all of a sudden morale goes down with the team. things go down, but like, oh man, things aren't working out like the way they were last year. So you could see a wild swing that way where everything just goes downhill, and then he's trying to do too much, and then it's even worse for him. Or he could have some growth and play really well in the first and second quarter and get that completion percentage up to like respectable 63% level instead of, it's dismal 58.1% completion percentage. You can't keep surviving in the NFL with a 58.1% completion percentage. It's just not going to happen. You're going to kill drives. You're going to end up leading to interceptions. Um, and it had for Caleb, but he only had 7 last year. But he had like the killer in the playoffs, so he threw one in overtime. So I don't know. I I think I'm expecting a middle ground for Caleb. I don't think he's going to have all these fourth quarter heroics, but I think he's going to play better early. But if he doesn't, then that's really going to limit what the Bears can do this year.
I think that he just needs to play more, before the snap. I think it needs to be more of a mental thing and less of a playground or less of, hey, I'm just going to rely on, my talent to carry me through this right now. I think if you're reading the defenses a little better, you're picking your shots a little bit better, and that comes with experience. So, it's just hard for me to say that he's going to be able to pull that off based on what I've seen so far and based on the fact I don't want him to. So, yeah.
I gotta love your honesty there,
But I
Jacob.
have to acknowledge that it's a possibility, right? I mean,
Right. It is. It's just gonna take, we'll see. But, Ben Johnson likes a timing accurate offense. And I don't know if Caleb Williams is that guy. I really don't. He's not terribly accurate. And he likes to go off script. And I'm not saying that Ben Johnson's offense can't survive that, but that's why it works so well with Jared Goff, is because that's Jared Goff is extremely accurate and does the work to get prepared to be precise on offense, both wide receiver routes and just accuracy with his throws.
Yep.
All right, let's move to the Packers. Why don't you introduce that room, Jacob?
All right, the Packers quarterback, starting with Jordan Love, who Pro Football Focus generously ranked the 4th highest quarterback in the league last year, somehow. Backing up Jordan Love is Tyrod Taylor, the veteran who's been through a plethora of teams, Kyle McCord, and Kyron Drones, who is an undrafted free agent. First thoughts here for the Packers room. What do you got?
Like I said at the top, when I'm with if Jordan Love gets injured, they are in worse shape than they were last year. Malik Willis, arguably, the offense played better when Malik Willis was in playing quarterback last year. You could
Facts.
really make that argument. Like, I know that you and I are both Jordan Love haters, but I think Malik Willis is just a little more consistent than Jordan Love. Jordan Love has higher highs and lower lows. Malik Willis was just like consistent and was able to move that offense. If Jordan Love gets injured, which does happen year to year, he misses a couple games. Tyrod Taylor, first of all, you can't count on Tyrod Taylor not to get injured right away. That seems to happen to him. He gets in, no matter what team he is, he gets in and freak things happen. He either gets injured, someone punctures his lung. I mean, just weird things happen. And, he couldn't hold on. So they're going to be in a lot of trouble if, Jordan Love gets hurt more than they were last year.
I would agree. I think that it was a good point. You said, higher highs but lower lows.
Right. And I don't understand the 4th rank. People really love Jordan Love, and it goes back to 2023. He had an amazing second half, got that playoff win against the Cowboys, which was unexpected. But he came back the following year, didn't have a great year. Last year, yes, he beat the Lions twice. He made some really good throws in those games. Looked good, but they relied on that defense a lot last year, and Jordan Love will play hero ball. He'll throw the ball up. He'll play Aaron Rodgers ball where he's got to throw up, hope for the pass interference. Something happens. People love his deep ball, and yes, he will complete it. But I just don't see it on a consistent level from Jordan Love like that I do from a Jared Goff. Jared Goff is the same quarterback week to week, really. I mean, he does have a bad game here or there, but Jordan Love will look dynamite in one game and then make a terrible decision, terrible pick or just hold on to the ball too long. Just throw it off the back foot. Um, I don't get how they have him rated fourth. I just don't understand that.
Yeah, I mean, you can like any measurable statistic you bring up, he's outside of the top 10, sometimes outside of the top like 15, I think in the NFL. Took, completion percentage, yards, touchdowns. The only thing that Jordan Love is rated really high at is ESPN's QBR, which is a made up stat. So
Mhm.
and Pro Football Focus does the eye test for a lot of things, but you're right. He just has some horrendous throws. A lot of that is trying to make something out of nothing, maybe. And sometimes there's a lot of 50-50 balls that he gets away with that are absolutely just brutal. Like, why would you have thrown
Yeah.
that? And then some miraculous way, his receivers come down, they get some yards after the catch on some of those like that. I've just never been overly impressed or overly worried about Jordan Love. He seems to beat us with a deep ball occasionally, and he does enough for them to win games, but I just don't think he's a top 10. I don't think they should have paid him that much. I don't think he's that great.
Yeah.
I do think, obviously the fall off between him and Tyrod Taylor is going to be big. Who knows how healthy that Taylor is going to be? He's also, I think he's my age. So I think that he's like, 36, 37 years old. So is he going to be as fast as he was before? Because that's the thing that's always been going for him. He's never really been the accurate or deep ball or anything like that. So I just don't see it. I think if you ask the Packers think that they have the best quarterback in the NFC. But they are going to say that regardless.
Yeah.
Anybody else in the division, I don't think really sees that.
Yeah, I don't know. Packers fans have blinders for Jordan Love, and part of that is it's your quarterback, so of course you're going to see that.
True.
But I think it really goes back, like I said, to that 2023 season. He really played really well that second half, but he followed it up with a 30 less than 3,400 the following year, 25 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. Last year he threw for less than 3,400 yards again, 23 touchdowns with 6 interceptions. One of his favorite targets, Romeo Dobbs, is no longer on the team. Tucker Kraft, they're saying he's going to be ready week 1. He had an ACL injury. I just don't see him being his normal self that early in the season too. So
yes,
I mean that's going to take a big jump from Matthew Golden, like we said when we did the wide receiver room. All right,
Jordan
Jacob.
Love's record as a starter, real quick. His record as a starter is
Yeah.
27-20.
Yep.
I just don't get it.
Yeah. No, you're right. And yeah, obviously we have our own biases with it, but to me the stats just don't match up. And watching him, he's just not consistent enough. And the Malik Willis thing last year just throws me for a loop. Like they just played so much better with him at quarterback. All right, man. Let us jump over to the top. Well, we're ranking the NFC, we're ranking the rooms, but essentially we're going to be ranking, the number 1 quarterbacks for each team. Do you want to go first? Do you want me to go first?
You can go first. I've got to get mine ready still. Where is that here?
All right. My NFC North rankings are as follows. I have the Lions number 1. Jared Goff, I mean, statistically just dominated the last 3 seasons, like across the league, not just NFC North. This is across the league. Uh, I think he's the most consistent quarterback. He's the most accurate quarterback in this division. I don't understand how you could not have Jared Goff number 1. He's not a showy. He's not going to make those crazy, plays that Caleb Williams makes. He's not going to be the deep ball thrower that Jordan Love is, but he is incredibly accurate, and that's why he's number 1 on my list. I will take Jordan Love over Caleb Williams, and I don't think that's mostly because of Jordan Love. It's mostly because of my low opinion of Caleb Williams. As far as like a quarterback on my team, I want a guy who's more consistent. I can count up and through all quarters of the game as opposed to just the fourth quarter. And I don't trust Caleb Williams to have to be I don't know how to say this, but to be able to count on him throughout the whole game, and to be able to not just like try to put the game on his shoulder and put too much on his shoulder, because we saw in years past before Ben Johnson got there, it was disastrous for Caleb Williams when he would try to put the game on his shoulder. But he is a year older. Maybe he'll mature. Maybe he'll be able to do that. But for me, I'll take Jordan Love over Caleb Williams. The quarterback situation, the Vikings, like you said, Jacob, it's a mess. And I wouldn't want that on my team. That being said, I would not be surprised if Kyler Murray has better stats than Caleb Williams by the end of the year. With, having Justin Jefferson there, having those options, I could totally see Kyler Murray having better stats than everyone except for Jared Goff. Really, to be honest with you, I could see that possibly could happen. But as of right now, if I'm reading the rooms, this is the way I got it.
Ready to experience something new? All Trails helps you find your next hike. Whether you're looking for something nearby or planning a trip, read reviews from real people like you to choose your trail and know what to expect. You can also download the map in case service gets spotty. Plan and experience your next hike with All Trails, the app for exploring the outdoors. Download it today and find your outside.
So, surprise, surprise. I have it laid out the exact same way that you did. I don't think it's debatable that the Lions have the best quarterback room just because we have Jared Goff, who's the best quarterback in the NFC North. And I say that I don't think it's debatable, but Bears and Packers fans and Vikings fans, honestly, will all debate this for some reason. Jared Goff is towards, I think he's top 3 in yards, touchdowns, completion percentage, wins, whatever kind of stat you're taking over the last 2 or 3 years. He's towards the top in almost everything. And he's just very consistent, veteran quarterback. I mean, perfect for the Lions right now. Every time they debate, they talk about who's got, Caleb can run and Jordan can move in the pocket and throw a better deep ball. That's irrelevant when that doesn't translate on the field. It doesn't translate to wins, and they don't have the stats or anything that Jared Goff does. So I'm comfortable putting Jared Goff in the Lions quarterback room first. The rest of this was kind of a toss-up for me, honestly, because I think that Caleb Williams could surpass Jordan Love. I think right now Jordan Love has an edge over him in this ranking. And the Vikings are 4th just because we don't even know who their starter is going to be. We don't know how that's going to look, how that's going to turn out. There's such a variable there. And I feel like if you revisit this at the end of the year, 2, 3, and 4 could be in any order, but the Lions are still going to be number 1, barring some sort of injury. And that's why I feel like 2, 3, and 4 could look way different. Like you said, if Kyler has a great year, maybe he passes up Caleb Williams. Jordan Love plays like he did last year and is kind of in the middle. 2, 3, and 4 could go in any way, but I think the Lions are definitely number 1 here.
Yep. Yeah.
And I don't feel like that's a homer take. I feel like that's being honest.
Yeah. No, they're too good. All right. Favorite Lions, man. I'm gonna let you get your list together. While you do that, I'm gonna do MW2. It says his list is Stafford, Goff, and massive shock, Kitna. That could be you. You might be on the Kitna train, so I'll be curious to see if that's you on that. So, why don't you debut your list for us, Jacob?
Yes. All right. My top 3 all-time Lions quarterbacks, starting with number 3, John Kitna. Let's go. He called it. Outside of 1 and 2, there's a huge toss-up. And I mean, anybody else you're picking, you just have some sort of connection with because it's definitely not going to be based on performance for the most part. But, Kitna was a captain. I guess you could say kind of a bright spot in a dull team for a while there, but he was the quarterback for several years. I think that was right before Harrington took over, right? So, I mean, that was right around that time when I was starting to get into it. You can see the old Lions logo, the silver helmet with the black face mask. So Kitna's on there. I like Kitna more than anybody else. Number 2, Jared Goff. Obviously, we've already been talking about Goff enough. Just what he's done so far for the Lions in his career. Great quarterback, memorable quarterback. He just has one more thing to accomplish or a few more years before he surpasses Matthew Stafford. Which is a pain to put him number 1 when he's playing for the Rams right now and winning MVP and Super Bowl and doing all that kind of stuff. But Stafford played here for so long, was such an important part of the team for so long. Once he retires, hopefully he's able to come back and, be a part of Detroit again and won't be getting booed and everything like that. But right now, this is how I have 1, 2, 3.
What did you have anybody else that was with John Kitna? Were you debating at all, or was it just like John Kitna's the third third choice for you.
The only other, not really a debate. No, I wouldn't say that
Yeah.
because Joey Harrington was a quarterback I was excited about, and that was when I really was into it. But the play was never there, right? It was never good enough to warrant that. And then before that, like when I'm playing the early Maddens and stuff like that, Charlie Batch was the quarterback. And I don't even I don't know anything about Charlie Batch. So like I said about when I did the all-time NFL quarterbacks, I tried to just do people when I was really into it. Part of it so that we'd have different lists, but also just, come at it from a different perspective where I could talk a little bit more about it.
Yeah.
So I'm sure, hang on, before you debut yours, I'm sure that you have Stafford and Goff on there.
Okay.
But I don't know if you put Scott Mitchell as your other quarterback or who you went with 3. So that was what I was saying. I'm guessing.
Is that what you're gonna say? You think it's Mitchell?
I think it's Mitchell. I don't know if you would put Rodney Peete on
before
there.
Mitchell, but yeah, I will put it on there. So I'll put it on the screen right now. All right. Yes, Goff is number 2, Stafford's number 1, and I'll talk about them in a second. But the wild card, the guy that was out there was Eric Kramer. And why? Because he won before Goff, he was the last playoff, quarterback winner. He won in that 91 game versus the Cowboys. It's really bereft of talent, like at quarterback. I mean, before Stafford, it was just the fact that we're putting John Kitna up there just tells you where we're at as a franchise. But really, since then, like Stafford and Goff have put up really, really amazing numbers. Like we've been really good as a franchise since we've gotten Stafford up there. And if we'd have Stafford now with who we have on this team and coaching wise and all that, oh my gosh, the thing that Stafford would add that Goff doesn't is Stafford would take more chances. So we would have more like Sports Center highlight plays, especially with JMO out there. But also we might have some more backbreaking interceptions that Goff. I mean, not that Goff won't throw interceptions, but when we start getting past the 50, Goff is a lot more careful with the ball. He doesn't throw a lot like in the end zone, and his picks in the red zone. He won't do that. You won't see that very often from Goff. But Stafford, well, he'll throw the ball in there. He trusts his arms so much that he'll do that. So I really wish we could see a.
Sorry, I was just going to say, do you think, though, the way that we play football and Stafford realizing, like, if I don't get this, we're going for it on 4th down, do you think some of those throws go away if Stafford knows that we're going to have more chances?
No, I don't.
You don't think he's got it in him to let up?
I don't know, like, maybe a little bit, but I think Stafford trusts his arms so much and just is so, like, football IQ that he's gonna trust his guy to make that play. I believe that Goff, if one of Goff's superpowers is the ability to throw it away and to move to have the confidence to go to a next play. We've all seen him where he throws it at Gibbs's feet, like if he doesn't like the look, or Laporta's feet if it's out in front, like he'll just give up on a play, and that's frustrating when you're in the game and you're like, oh God, he could have held on to it a little bit more. But do I want Goff taking more hits? And no, let's move on to the next play. And I think that Goff is just mature enough to be able to do that. And I'm not saying Stafford isn't mature enough. I think Stafford just has too much of the Brett Favre in him that he gunslings and he just trusts himself a little too much sometimes. And when it works out, you get an MVP season. When it doesn't work out, we get Jameer Gibbs in the draft because of it.
Yeah, which still turned out okay for us in the long run.
It did. I think we said before, in a multiverse, I would like to see Stafford paired with Campbell just to see how that situation works out. Obviously, everything changes. We don't get the draft picks. Who knows how it all works out? It's all different. That being said, Goff is number 2 for me. Part of that is because Stafford was with us so long. Stafford was in my, like, for me, outside the Barry Sanders years, was like we had the most hope when Stafford was our quarterback as far as like being able to do something, make it, a playoff run or even getting to the playoffs. Goff, has had the better surrounding cast, but and he got the playoff win, which Stafford never did. If Goff, like you said, has one thing left on is to get to the Super Bowl and wins. If he does that, then I think he goes above Stafford in my book instantly at that point.
Yes, I would say that Goff is closer to surpassing Stafford than Gibbs is to surpassing Barry, to
Oh
bring up
yeah,
our running back talk. Yeah,
yes.
Goff needs a few more high-level years, a few more great seasons, or that elusive Super Bowl
Hmm.
appearance/victory. But yeah, he's right there.
I know we might have mentioned this before, but I think it's appropriate to talk about it here. When Goff came to our team, we weren't doing this podcast, Jacob, so we don't have anything on the record about how we felt at the time. Did you foresee this happening? That Goff would be our franchise quarterback, the guy that we signed a big deal to, and that we're hanging, that we just have confidence that he could get us back into the playoffs and win the division. Did you foresee that, or were you like, hey, we're going to have him for a year or two until we draft his replacement?
Yeah, I just thought that he was going to be here temporarily. I did not think he was going to be the long-term answer, and I don't think the Rams viewed him as a long-term answer, or they wouldn't have shipped him along with the first-round picks, right? I mean, yes,
I
they got
know.
their Super Bowl, but that was a very bad trade for them. When you look back at what Goff's done since he left the Rams, plus the picks that we got, they, obviously they got the Super Bowl, like I said, but that was not a great trade for them. And obviously, Goff still had plenty left in the tank. So
Hmm.
we both made out positive on that trade right there. But no, I can't say that I was like, thank God we've got Goff, we're good. I just thought, he's somebody that can bring in so that we can stay competitive at least instead of the threat of another 0-16 season. Of course, then we started, what was it, like 0-12 or whatever. Like, I was like, God, not
Yeah.
again. What about you, though? I
All
mean, I
right.
think you thought the same way, right? I mean,
I did.
yeah.
I 100% thought that he was our bridge quarterback. I'm going to save my comments for just a second because we're about to get into our top five. And Goff is in my top five of the NFL quarterbacks. In fact, I'm going to jump to it right now.
Yeah.
He is number five. So I'm going to just the thing that you talked about the stats, and I have them. Okay, like what he's done in the last 3 years, leads the league in yards, by over 1,300. Like it's not even close.
Yeah.
He has 13,768. Stafford's next, which is 12,434. Like it's not like he's a few. That's like multiple games worth that he is ahead of Stafford. Um, he is third in completion percentage behind Tua and Drake May. He
Tua.
is first in touchdowns. He is second in quarterback rating. He is second in games, or he's tied for first in games played. He's played all the games, 51 games, which that's important, right? Jordan Love is not playing all the games. You can't count them all. Like he is out there playing all the games. And we learned in the quarterback show last year, he, like really messed up his ankle and played on that, but we had no clue that it was like that. He is a tough guy. Um, and he is at yards per game. He is leading the NFL in the last 3 years above Dak Prescott. So all the quarterback stats that you look at from your top quarterbacks, he's leading it for an extended period of time. This is not one season, it's not 2 seasons. This is over the last 3 seasons. He deserves to be there. What the knock at Jared Goff and the unfair knock is that he's surrounded by all this talent. Last year's offensive line for the Lions was bad. Like we were in the back half of probably the bottom third of the NFL as far as offensive line play. And he still had an excellent season last year. Didn't throw a ton of picks. Still had, what do you have? He had 4,500 yards. I know he's surrounded by talent, but Laporta was out. Like, he did it with less last year. And are those, like, is Amon-Ra the same quarterback if he doesn't have Jared Goff? Like they're just a perfect pairing. Like Amon-Ra is a great route runner. Jared Goff is extremely accurate. They have great chemistry together, and they create opportunities for each other. Should he get a knock on that because Amon-Ra is so good? No, you shouldn't get a knock for that. They created that together. Um, I it's unfair, and a lot of it comes the Sean McVay stuff. Goff had a terrible Super Bowl, which everyone remembers, and people think that he's like the exact same quarterback that he was with the Rams. He's not. He's gotten better. We've trusted him more with his ability to make checks on the line. We don't. The quarterback coach and everybody says we don't understand how good Jared Goff is, and because we don't see all that behind the scenes stuff. All we see is the plays. We don't see a lot of sports center plays with Jared Goff, and that's a perception that the league will have that'll be a knock against him. He's not running for touchdowns like Lamar Jackson. He's not scrambling around like Caleb, throwing up, you know, 75% balls. He's just not doing that. And that's a knock on him. And it's an unfortunate knock on him. I know that this may appear as biased, but the stats back it up. He deserves to be in the top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL. All right, number 4. This one was tough for me because I don't know if Patrick Mahomes has really been in this category the last couple of years. He's had degradations and talent. The offensive line's down. And last year was obviously a terrible year from him. Both my 5 and 4 quarterbacks did not make the playoffs last year, which is interesting because quarterbacks are usually judged on wins. Patrick Mahomes a few years ago is the no doubt number 1 quarterback. At this list, it's like, okay, when we get to number 1, we're going to have Patrick Mahomes. We're not going to have much to talk about because he just does everything so well. He hasn't done a lot of things, perfectly. And the degradation of play around him, Travis Kelce getting older, all that plays into it. That being said, you get into a Super Bowl. I know the last Super Bowl he was in, he didn't play that well, but this guy will do what it takes to win. And I would love for him to be my quarterback on a team. I'm not in love with him necessarily, his perception that I have of him as a person or a player, but I'd be okay with him being a quarterback. But if he has another couple years like this, could he be out of the top 5? Like us, Drake may surpass him. Could they move in there? I don't know. It'll be interesting. I'm really curious
Right.
where you have him, Jacob. All right, number 3. Could not leave the MVP off our list here. It's hard for me to put him this high just because he's not wearing the Honolulu blue. He's wearing this other shade of blue. But dude just plays. We know what kind of quarterback he is. He has probably, if he has one of the top arms in the NFL, if not the top. I mean, at one point in his career, he was the top arm in the NFL as far as arm strength, the fitting the balls into tight windows. Age may have taken a little bit off there, and Josh Allen may be able to surpass him as far as arm strength, but he is exactly what you want as a quarterback. Smart, be able to do, elevate players around him. Number 2, what do he get ranked? Lamar Jackson is my number 2. What do he get ranked in the NFL top 100, Jacob?
He was ranked number 69.
Yeah,
He was number 2 on the top 100 last year, and they dropped him to 69.
yeah. I guess I don't see it. Leading the quarterback. We talked about quarterback rating. We all think of him as a runner, right? Like just an amazing runner, but quarterback rating, he is like I think the all-time leader that and he is the last 3 years he's the best in the NFL. I know he hasn't won the big games, and that's going to be a incredible knock on him out of Stafford. Stafford won a Super Bowl. Patrick Mahomes obviously won multiple Super Bowls. They're in my top 5. Lamar Jackson is incredible threat with the football, either passing or running. But I think he has a little Caleb Williams in him, and he trusts his body too much to get out of trouble, and he'll take some really bad sacks, and that could be devastating for drives.
Jack Campbell can force a fumble on 4th down.
Oh my God. Yeah. Well, I mean, you see how imposing Lamar Jackson is as a figure. Jack Campbell stood him right up. He wasn't going to try to run through Jack Campbell, which is amazing. All right. Next on my list is not a surprise, Josh Allen. I think he's played some of the best football the last few years. Could have won multiple MVPs, did finally get an MVP. The knock on him is he hasn't done it in the playoffs, right? I mean, and I don't know if it's necessarily him. It's not like he's played terrible in the playoffs. He should have beat Mahomes that year that they, kicked off and then just let Tyreek Hill run and, they end up forcing overtime. I don't know. Josh Allen is just a really good quarterback, developed really well, doesn't force as many balls, doesn't cause as many turnovers as he has in the past. And, it's just he gets out running and he's impossible to stop. All right, Jacob. I have got to see your list. I'm really curious where you're at. While you get that up, I'm going to say hi to a couple people in the chat. Got Madison Hubular says hi, and Cole Trickle says, "What's up, everybody?" So,
How's it going, guys?
yeah, nice to have you. All right, Jacob, I got to see. You got your list there?
I've got my list ready. Top 5 current NFL quarterbacks. I wasn't sure if you were going to have Goff on yours. I do have Goff number 5. And
Okay.
I'm not going to revisit everything that you just said, but I mean, you basically laid everything out there. Stat wise, everything that you want, he's earned that top 5 spot. He's earned to be part of that discussion. The main knock is always just, well, look at all the talent that he has around him and also the lack of mobility. But the numbers speak for themselves. The record speaks for itself. He's doing everything the right way. He's playing at a high level year in and year out. And I think on the ESPN list, they had him rated like number 8 or number 9. And I just don't understand how you have him rated so low. Number 4, I put Stafford at number 4.
Okay.
Same thing. That's what stinks about going second is you've already listed all of my reasons for why they're on there. But Stafford still able to do it. He had that injury last year. They weren't sure. There was talk about they weren't, didn't know how well he was going to perform. Still comes out, lights it up, plays just as good, if not better than he has before. He had a great year. The Rams drafted a quarterback in the first round, which also brings those same questions like, how's his health doing? Is he one bad hit away from being out and calling it quits? We don't know, but you got to have Stafford in the top. He's still playing at an elite level. I have Lamar number 3, just a threat everywhere, on the ground, in the air. He can do it all. 2-time MVP award. I know playoff success has, not found him yet. He had that really close, that drop by Mark Andrews and everything. I mean, they're right there. They've got a really good team, and I think that I just think that he's one of the best quarterbacks. And I definitely would appreciate having him on our team. I put Josh Allen number 2. So the knock on Josh Allen has always been maybe not taking care of the football and not making the greatest decisions in crunch time. Outside of that, obviously, he's got the arm, he's got the legs, he's able to find ways to win the football game. He's turned the Bills around himself because they don't have the best talent around him. They're not getting him top tier players, in my opinion. He's got James Cook. The line is decent. He's relying on the tight ends a lot, but Josh Allen's just one of the best quarterbacks. But I still have Patrick Mahomes number 1.
Wow.
And
Okay.
I know he did not have a great year last year. He had the injury. A lot of it was trying to do too much. Travis Kelce is probably 3 years past when he should have retired. They drafted Xavier Worthy in the first round. He hasn't turned out. They've had the Rashee Rice situation. Just all the receivers that they try to get there seem to have an issue, and they're just not playing all together that well. If Tyreek never would have left, he's still breaking records. And it's interesting that you brought up, what needs to happen for him to drop off the top 5 list? If he has another bad year like he did last year, I think he's already on the fringe. But what he's already achieved so far in his career, he's towards the top all time, in my opinion. He's earned part of that discussion just for those like 4 or 5 all-time years that he had. Warrants in at least an honorable mention or talk about how great that he's been. So I let slide the subpar year last year because I still think he's an effective quarterback, and I still think most teams in the league, if they had their choice, they would want to have Mahomes. He just finds a way to win.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's a valid argument. Is that he just finds a way to win, and I had really a tough time like moving him around on the list because my other question was because I didn't know how you were going to place it. So and I think I know the answer to your question. So I rated Josh Allen number 1, but in my head I'm like, if I were in the Super Bowl right now and I had to pick a quarterback, who would I pick? And I probably would pick Mahomes in a big game situation, or if I'm like on the last drive or whatever, and I need to score points like Mahomes did in the overtime or whatever. I need him to score. I probably trust Mahomes more than those other guys.
And that's
But
just
then I
time and
didn't
time
put him
again,
number
he's been
1.
proving that. But, right, when you look at the overall body of work last year, that's why he fell.
Right. You brought up Tyreek Hill, and it's really interesting. Like, did Mahomes create Tyreek, or did Tyreek create Mahomes, or was it just like this perfect match? Because since Tyreek's left, Mahomes' numbers have come down to earth. Like, they haven't been as monstrous. And Tyreek had some good years with Tua, right? It's not like
I think
it's not like
the
Tua's
first
a
year he
top
left.
quarterback.
Right. I think it was the first year he left, or maybe the second, where Tyreek just exploded and had the best year. But
Well,
yeah,
there
I
was a
mean,
talk for MVP at one
right.
point for Tyreek, and like he was,
number one on the top 100.
right.
That's how well
Yeah.
Tyreek played in Miami.
Yeah.
But Patrick Mahomes' leading receiver has been Travis Kelce.
Yeah.
They just can't seem to get receivers on the outside that consistently are able to get open and be a threat like Tyreek Hill was when he was there.
Yeah.
And like I said, Kelce is a couple years past his prime. The fact that Kelce led them in receiving last year, I mean, just past the eyeball test, you would know, like, okay, I bet they had a terrible year then if Kelce was their leading receiver. Yeah, they did. And he was their leading receiver the year before that when they went 15-1. But even that eyeball test was like, how do they keep winning these games? Well, Patrick Mahomes. They're finding a way to get it done.
Yeah. So, quick, Madison is Emma's daughter, Madison,
Right.
and Emma is who we work with. So she's on there. So what up, Madison? Madison got a ball from Justin Verlander. She doesn't know how lucky she is. Like Verlander acknowledged her, so
And she got to do the 6-7.
pretty awesome.
That was a good night for them.
Yeah. And then hello, Patty. Patty's my mom. She's on Facebook. So, when we went to Facebook,
Hi,
Mom
Patty.
knows how to get there. So we're good there. All right, man. I'm gonna let you do. I got to talk a lot more on the top 5 quarterbacks because I kind of stole some of your thunder. So I'm gonna let
It's
you
fine.
go 5.
Okay.
I'm gonna let you go with your top 5 all-time quarterbacks.
I'm excited for this. And like I said,
Yes.
full disclosure, there are some guys that are truly, if I'm being honest, better than the guys I have on this list. But that was right at the tail end of when I'm watching football and not fully into it. So that's why I went with the guys that I have on this list.
Okay.
So when there's some very, very noticeable people absent on there, maybe that's why, you'll understand.
All right.
All right. Top 5 all-time NFL quarterbacks. So number 5, I put Steve McNair.
Wow.
So we're starting with a surprise here. I really liked the Titans because I really liked the color scheme. I liked the jersey, the helmet. They also had the Super Bowl appearance where they were just 1 yard short. This was, of course, another team that I played as in Madden. But yeah, McNair had the MVP award, led the league in passing. Just, I don't know, something about McNair. Really liked the way that he played. He played at a high level for, a few years in Tennessee. Then he kind of fell off, and then R.I.P. Steve McNair. Actually,
do you
he
look
died on the
at
4th of
Steve
July.
McNair differently if he wins that Super Bowl versus the Rams? Like he's so close, like a yard away.
But see, for me, I still would have put him in the same spot, even if he had won the
Yeah.
Super Bowl. I think
Okay.
had he won the Super Bowl, that would warrant him being number 5. Because I think
Okay.
from the outside perspective, if you're not me, then you're like, what's Steve McNair doing on this list? But he had a really good year, and there were some other quarterbacks that I thought about putting right here too, like Cam Newton. And Cam Newton also just had a couple great years, MVP award, and then Cam Newton fell off also.
Yep.
All right. The rest of them are not quite as surprising, but they might still be shocking to you. So,
All right.
number 4, I have Ben Roethlisberger.
Wow.
So, Ben Roethlisberger, I think he's like 3rd or 4th all-time in winning percentage, right from the jump, too. So, Big Ben is from Findlay, Ohio, which is not too far away from here. He went to a MAC school, went to Miami, drafted by the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think he got thrust in a starting role in like week 3 or week 4 of his rookie season, and he won like 13 games in a row. And as a rookie, took that team deep into the playoffs. And then his second year is when the Steelers won the Super Bowl, which was crazy for a young quarterback to do that. And he just played at a high level for so long, consistently leading towards the top of the league in touchdowns, passing yards. And he also kind of had that backyard style of play because he was just so big. He was hard to bring down. Pocket collapses. He gets rushed out of the pocket. No, he's not out sprinting you, but he'll throw a stiff arm in your face and extend the play and get the ball off. That touchdown pass to Santonio Holmes in the Super Bowl. I just think Ben Roethlisberger did it for a long time. It doesn't quite get the love that he deserves over some of the other guys that played in that same time.
Mm-hmm.
I will say Ben was drafted in the same draft class as Eli Manning and Phillip Rivers, where they had that whole swap, at the top because Eli didn't want to play for the Chargers and all that. But a lot of people talk about Manning because of the Super Bowls, and they talk about Phillip Rivers because of the longevity. But I think Ben Roethlisberger, and the stats will back it up. I think Ben Roethlisberger was a better quarterback than them. Number 3, Drew Brees. So it gets less surprising as I go on. But
That's all right.
Drew Brees, obviously leading the league in passing for so long. Consistent top quarterback play. He brought a Super Bowl to the Saints after leaving the Chargers and having that whole thing. He just played for so long. I don't know exactly. Is he second in passing yards all time now? He's towards the top. MVP awards, Super Bowl, all that good stuff. Everything that you could want in a quarterback. Great leader. But he's surpassed by Peyton Manning, who I put 2 pictures of on here because he won the Super Bowl with the Colts, and then Colts kind of wrote him off, right? And then he just exploded in Denver and then won another one for the Broncos.
Yeah.
He went to 2 Super Bowls with the Broncos, right? But they lost the one
Yeah.
Super Bowl. And then beat the Panthers, I believe. But yeah,
Yeah, they
Peyton
lost
Manning,
to Seattle.
another one. Yeah, another one. Did it for so long, high level, super smart quarterback. Somebody else that's similar to Jared Goff, where he's not going to be running anywhere necessarily, but he's got pocket presence. He's able to dissect the defense before the play happens. So I've got Peyton Manning number 2, and then number 1 has to be Tom Brady, right? I mean, you can't say enough about Tom Brady. How long that he played, everything that he did, all the Super Bowl appearances, all the Super Bowl wins, the Super Bowl comeback, just perennial, turned the Patriots around and just made them what they are. He helped Belichick become who Belichick was, and you could see that once he left, right? Because he bet on himself. He went over to Tampa Bay and then won another one at Tampa Bay, which is just insane looking back how that played out. But I just think there's no question that Tom Brady has to be number 1.
Yep.
That's my list. I'm excited to see yours now.
All right. It varies wildly from yours. So
And that's what I was saying. That's what I was going for, because I know some of the guys you have on this list that earn spots on this list, but if I only saw them sparingly, like in 1998, 1999, I didn't feel right putting them on the list. And
No, I
there's
got
at
it.
least
It's
2 I can
from-
think of.
they are from our time periods. I just happen to live through 2 a vastly
You have a
different
bigger-
quarterback time period than you.
Right.
Yeah, just like
you have
I
a
saw
bigger ratio,
Yeah,
bigger pool to pull from.
yeah. number 5,
Get this off the
like,
screen.
do you want to go puke? Because I had to pick this guy, Aaron
Why?
Rodgers. I did not want to pick him, but being up close and seeing him, like, think of what you want about him as a human being. He's a 4-time MVP. He has a Super Bowl winner. He was so careful with the football. Hardly threw interceptions at his prime part of his career. The problem with Aaron Rodgers is that he just played too long. And then you get, and then he had stuff after COVID that people turned people off and all that. I don't need to get in any of that. We know what type of person he is, but as far as a quarterback on the field, just he was amazing during his time with Green Bay. Yeah, that's all I want to say about him. But this was my hardest one to put on the list.
Rightfully
Number
so.
4, go back to Joe Montana. First 4-time Super Bowl winner. He is like Patrick Mahomes, like, as far as like, okay, we get him in the big game, he's gonna win. Like, that's just the way you feel about Joe Montana. I know he has Jared Rice, he had talent around him. You could make the Jared Goff argument with Joe Montana. Well, we just surrounded him with the best wide receiver. Well, did he? I mean, I know Jared Rice would have probably been successful with everyone, but Joe Montana would just throw the ball so much in stride that Jared it was just so easy for him. I cannot pass at Dwight Clark in the back of the end zone that he had. I mean, I know, Jacob, you've had to have seen that highlight that was against the
course.
Cowboys. He was just a man. There was a NFL Films highlight of the Super Bowl, and I think it was against Cincinnati. It was one in Silverdome. Joe Montana, it's like the game-winning drive. He is talking in the huddle, and he goes, "I think I see John Candy in the front row over there." So, like, the biggest moment of the game of the season, and he's already calming down his teammate, and that's just the kind of quarterback he was. You showed those 2 pictures of Peyton Manning. You always think of him as the Colts, but the Broncos. But at the tail end, Joe Montana with the Kansas City Chiefs and had some pretty solid seasons with Kansas City, just never won it all. And And it's crazy to think that him and Steve Young were together for such a long period of time as backup. And Steve Young could have made this. He didn't make my list, but he's a top all-time quarterback as well. Number 3 is John Elway. Uh, he was like, he could kind of run. He would be able to play in today's NFL. He'd be mobile enough to move around, um, and be able to score with his legs and do some damage that way. He had an amazing arm, was super clutch, ended up his last winning Super Bowls in his last 2 seasons. And that's what puts him on. That's what moves him up on my list, really. If he doesn't get those 2 Super Bowl wins, you're looking at him as a Super Bowl loser, just getting absolutely demolished against the 49ers earlier in his career. But he ended up going out on top. He was an all time great quarterback. I don't like necessarily that he pulled the Eli Manning before Eli Manning, where he just wouldn't go to play Baltimore Colts and force a uh, trade to Denver. And also, what it doesn't knock him down on my quarterback list, but his time with Denver as a GM, he could just not get another quarterback. Getting Brock Osweiler, always drafting quarterbacks at the end of the first round, just marred his
Paxton Lynch.
time there.
Yeah.
Number 2, Peyton Manning. Just one of the best at the line of scrimmage that I've ever seen, if not the best, as far as being able to manage. Like, he basically was calling the game. Didn't even really need an offensive coordinator. He just knew it that well. Play his with Marvin Harrison, the original Marvin Harrison Sr. Awesome connection. And then he did it. What was his next? I can't remember what was his other main wide receiver? I can't remember.
Reggie Wayne.
Yeah, Reggie Wayne. He did it with him too. Just an all-time quarterback. Thought he was done. Went to Denver and was breaking records with Denver. And then arguably his worst season and well, not as a pro because his rookie year was pretty bad with the Colts, but definitely towards his last season where he won the Super Bowl was basically a game manager. Couldn't throw the ball down the field, but still was, and they lived on that Denver defense. But he won the Super Bowl. He got his second Super Bowl. All time great quarterback. And number 1 was a guy that Peyton Manning and Tom Brady had amazing playoff matchups. And I thought about superheroes and supervillains when I think of these two. Like, they keep elevating each other, right? Like, as a superhero gets stronger, the villains get worse, right? To offset like how strong this is. Tom Brady and Peyton Manning, epic playoff battles, going back and forth. You and I are both lucky that we got to see that in real time. Like, that is all time NFL, Colts, Patriots, playoff football at its best. We got to see top quarterback play. Tom Brady just happened to get more Super Bowls. And if you put them back head to head, Peyton Manning is probably the better quarterback out of the two as far as like arm talent, calling plays and stuff like that. But Tom Brady has the it factor that just wills his team and teammates to get better and to win Super Bowls. He just has it. And I don't know what, it's intangible. I don't know what it is. But I want it on my team forever and ever because he was good enough to be a top quarterback of all time, but he was just made everyone else around him better. When you think of like Edelman, Wes Welker, like he did,
Right.
like I know he had Randy Moss, but like he elevated these other guys, these role players for other teams to have critical games and clutch situations. Tom Brady was able to do that, and that's why that's what makes him the greatest quarterback of all time. Winning what he went 7 Super Bowls. Let me quiz. I want to quiz you something because I saw this stat and I thought it was crazy. How many All Pros do you think Tom Brady had in his career?
5.
3. He only was an All Pro 3 times, but he won the Super Bowl. Been to 14 championship games. Like,
Insane.
you and I, as much as I love Tom Brady, I was so glad when that streak was over with the Patriots because I was just tired of
Yes.
seeing it. Like it felt like a rerun over and over again. It's kind of like the Patrick Mahomes thing. Like, you seeing him in the championship game, like you're seeing greatness, but even greatness gets old every once in a while. So you want to see the next thing. Um, I don't know. Him being a Michigan man just puts the icing on the cake. For me, just to know that this guy was at Michigan, barely drafted. The story, everyone knows the story. It's amazing. Uh, it just shows you what heart can do, and just the will to succeed and uh, make yourself better. Um, Tom Brady's that
Absolutely.
great story.
I think it's a part of it too, is that he wasn't the first overall pick. It wasn't handed to him on a silver platter. He didn't have chance after chance after chance. It was not like that at all. He had to
Yeah.
claw his way up. And then I think after the second Super Bowl is when it became like he just demanded everyone else to be great and everyone else to put in the effort that he was putting in. And then you hear some of these older players talk about it now, like they just did not want to let Tom Brady down. You did not want Tom Brady to yell at you. You did not want to be on Tom Brady's bad side. There was just the standard was the standard, and it was going to be a high level of play, and you had to show up every single day and bring it. And that's part of what made everybody else better. And like you said, some of these guys that did not have success elsewhere and were not, super great, talent wise, but they still had great years when they played with him.
hmm Yeah, that's part of the quarterback position, right? Like it's hard to grade that. Like it's not like yards or completion percentage, but you just have to see it. You have to live it. You have to, see Wes Welker was a good player when he was with you know Miami. Goes over with Tom Brady and just all of a sudden is a weapon that you have to worry about. It's Wes Welker. Like, if he goes
Right.
anywhere else, he's not that type of player. So just Tom Brady knew how to win. He knew what it took to win, and that's what makes him an all-timer. So,
Real quick before we move on, because we didn't mention too much about the ESPN NFL quarterback list. So
Mhm.
where it's the executives and whoever else votes on this or whatever. So they had Josh Allen 1, Patrick Mahomes 2, Stafford 3, Joe Burrow 4, and then Lamar
Yeah.
Jackson 5.
Mhm.
So what are your thoughts on Burrow? Because this is
Yeah.
the same thing that we kind of have the same debate about, not we, but with other people, is they discredit Jared Goff because of the tools that he has around him, but Burrow kind of just, that's not even brought up when they talk about how great the Burrow is. And Burrow consistently cannot stay healthy and play an entire season. And they had one really good year as a team. Outside of that, the team's struggling to win games. And you can't put that all on him, but still, they're not getting it done. They're collapsing late in the game. But for whatever reason, people love Joe Burrow and they love to put him, his highest ranking was 1. So somebody had Burrow number 1 in the league.
Yeah. There's 2 guys that I wanna talk about. Joe Burrow was one of Justin Herbert's the other one. I think those are the 2 interesting guys that we didn't talk in the top 5. I don't think they belong in the top 5, and Joe Burrow is not there because he's not healthy. When I talked about Jared Goff, well, how many games did I say he played over the last 3 seasons? 51, right? You know yeah, well, and you also mentioned the other thing that I wanted to talk about, like, why does Joe Burrow get a pass when he has arguably the best wide receiver in the league? They also have T. Higgins, who is the highest I think he's probably the highest number 2 paid in the league. So you're paying all this money and he gets a pass where Jared Goff, the only reason Jared Goff's good is because he's surrounded by all this talent. And for some reason Joe Burrow doesn't get that. And that's the thing that I mentioned about Jared Goff having not a great offensive line last year, but somehow still found a way to stay healthy and produce. Joe Burrow hasn't been able to do that. And that's a knock. Like, I don't care how talented you are. If you're not on the field, you're not helping the team. You just aren't. So Joe Burrow doesn't belong to be on the top 5. He's one of those guys that gets on Sports Center, you know. Even in the quarterback show, he pissed me off because
Yeah.
like his mom's doing his laundry. Like he just Jared Goff's the everyman, right? Like he's talking like normal stuff that you and I would talk about with our wives. Joe
Right.
Burrow's like with his mom talking about I don't know how to do laundry and all that stuff. Like I get it, his life's different than mine. It just I've never had the sacrifice that he had in certain things. I'm sure that he's given up a lot of his life as far as with training and stuff like that. So I don't want to take anything from that. But as far as likability, it doesn't or relatability, It doesn't trigger with me. And so that's another reason why I would knock him off that, just because I didn't like that. It just turned me off, right?
I don't hate Joe Burrow. I don't like the fashion stuff that was part of that
Yeah.
quarterback show and everything. It's like, this is ridiculous. Man, what are
Yeah.
you doing right now?
I
I
know.
think he throws a really good ball, and I think he's a good quarterback, but I just don't like how I said, I don't like that people are very quick to just overlook. And you want to say that Jamar Chase is just so much better than Amon-Ra. Well, then why does Amon-Ra knock down Jared Goff, but Jamar Chase doesn't knock down Joe Burrow? Doesn't
Mhm.
make sense to me at all. And Joe Burrow, as much as they want to say has, best movement, best vision, able to just create plays and stuff like that, well, then why are they not winning those close games? And why, he's getting himself injured by doing that? So
Mhm.
I just don't get that. They put him above Lamar Jackson at number 5. You mentioned Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert has a great arm. He does not have very good decision making, and that's
Mhm.
been the main knock on him this whole time. Is he's got the talent, he's just not really putting it together. And you would hope with Jim Harbaugh, he's been looking better and doing better, but they still haven't won in the playoffs. Drake May was number 8, which is one spot in front of Jared Goff, and you know that's just part of that recency bias, which is just hilarious to me that more people are voting him up there. Obviously, an amazing season. The run to the Super Bowl, how well that he was playing was awesome. Let's see him do that 2 or 3 years in a row, right? If you're betting that he's going to have a pretty steep fall off this year and his numbers aren't going to be close to what they were before.
Mhm. Yeah, and then number 10, Caleb rounds out the list, right?
Yes, Caleb was number 10.
He's
The
not number
highest
10.
they had him ranked was highest anyone had him ranked was number 6. But it
Yeah.
says he almost tied. So Caleb Williams, Sam Darnold, Jordan Love, and Jaden Daniels were all very, very close for the 10th spot.
How does Sam Darnold, like, you move a Drake May up, okay? Drake May didn't do anything more amazing than Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold won the Super Bowl, and it's not like Sam Darnold just had one good year. The Vikings the year before, he outside that last couple of games, he was awesome. He put up awesome numbers. So
How many people
why
can
Sam
go to a
Darnold
different
gets
team and do that, right? Like
yeah yeah.
that doesn't usually happen. You don't go to a different system and then, continue that success.
Well, he goes over there and instantly creates a connection with JSN, and JSN gets Offensive Player of the Year. Like,
Yeah, right.
I mean, I don't know. Sam Darnold deserved to be in the top 10. He certainly deserved to be above Caleb Williams, in my opinion. Super Bowl winning quarterback. Just, he's not going to get respect because of the way his career started out. It's just not going to happen. Drake May is going to be, the second coming of Tom Brady. That's what everybody wants. They want another quarterback with, let's get nostalgia. Let's get the, Patriots quarterback come in there. Let's see him do it with a little tougher schedule. And then I might be convinced. I'm not saying he can't do it. I'm just saying I'm not convinced yet. He's certainly not better than Jared Goff. Jared Goff is, we've already went at it with an nauseum. I wanted to bring up Justin Herbert because I will tell you who Justin Herbert is. Justin Herbert is like 2 decades or a decade and a half old, like ahead of Stafford. Like, he is Stafford. Like, he does amazing things with his arm, but does bonehead plays because thinks he needs to carry that team. Like, Herbert in 10 years, maybe getting traded for a couple of first rounders or going to some other team to be the Super Bowl quarterback. Like, they just think that he's there one piece away. And then all of a sudden, the media will talk about Justin Herbert the way they talked about Stafford when he went to Los Angeles. Like, oh God, what a great quarterback talent, all pro. Like,
Yep.
when he was just, he's throwing sidearm, like, all that
Yeah.
stuff that they used to knock Stafford for. Then all of a sudden he gets to the Rams and it's,
It's just
glorified.
brilliant.
So
Right, right.
I think I don't think Justin Herbert is as talented as Stafford is right now, but that's what I see as the comparison right there. Like, he does these amazing things. He's got an amazing arm. We've seen him play really good against the Lions. He will make great throws, but then he just doesn't do enough to win games. And that describes Stafford. Like, Stafford could not come through in the big moments in Detroit. Maybe he's mature, maybe he's got a different coach staff, better coaching staff, and that's why he's able to do it now. And maybe Justin Herbert will have that later on. Maybe Harbaugh's that guy for him to get him to settle down, build the team around him, and do, maybe they'll have a healthy running back, or Murray Hampton will be healthy the whole season. Maybe that'll happen for them. I don't know. But I think I just see that comparison between the two.
I think it's a great comparison. You're right.
Yeah.
And then as the years go, he gets more experience under his belt, gets better and better. He could potentially have a very long career and a successful career. Will that be for the Chargers, or will some sort of trade or something happen? Obviously, we won't be able to tell, but I they have Mike McDaniel now,
Mhm.
for the Chargers, so
Yeah.
maybe, which is kind of weird. McDaniel's great offensive mind, but it's like a different kind of offense than what Herbert has been doing, and it's just a
Yeah.
weird combination to have Jim Harbaugh and Mike McDaniel on the same sideline. So
Yes.
who knows how that's going
100%.
to turn out?
Yep. Yeah.
But that just
That is
bought
a
him more
weird dynamic.
time because he has a great year. It's like Mike McDaniel came in with this awesome player and really just, turned to the next gear, hit the next level, and now Justin Herbert is one of the top quarterbacks. Justin Herbert has a bad year. They're like, well, it was Mike McDaniel's first year. You can expect some setbacks. And, it's
Mhm.
just the best players get so much extra wiggle room and so much space to make these mistakes.
Yep. Yeah. Stafford just had his wife to deal with, like Kelly's podcast and stuff like that. That was the tough. Herbert's just dating models after model after model. He's living his best life, man.
Yeah. That's how they do it in LA, right?
It is. It is, man. All right, dude. Big week for us. New hosting platform. We're, figuring this whole thing out. So hopefully the changes aren't too drastic for our listeners. I don't think they will be. Don't think we did this to get commercials for revenue. Honestly, that's second to the ability of having a better show. We are going to have better access to better guests, and also like when we do the game previews, like in this new network that we're part of, the Believe Network, they have people from every team. So we're going to be able to have those guests on and good guests, and it would save us a lot of work from trying to send out 10 emails and never hearing back. Or
Right.
occasionally I'd hear
Cancel.
a week later saying, "Oh, I'm sorry, I missed this." Like, didn't help me now. But thanks for responding, but doesn't do me any good a week after the game. It doesn't do anything for me.
Right. No, we're
So
excited.
yeah. So home run derby, real quick. Did you watch it last night at all or no?
No. I
Oh
thought
man.
about trying to watch it with the kids. Like, well, you know what? We missed the start of it anyway. And it was like, I was already in
Oh,
bed. Like, just forget it. Like, I went to
oh
sleep. I
man,
didn't even
you
see what
missed it.
happened until, this morning.
Oh,
What a
it
finish.
was
What a way
fun.
to end.
It was so much fun, dude. They changed the format. Like before it was time limit, now it was went back to swings. So it wasn't outs. Like if you hit it like previous, I think before the time, like if you hit a ball out, but it wasn't a home run, that was an out. Now, like you just had 20 first round, you had 20 swings. And you could let, if they pitch, even if it was a strike, it didn't matter. They could take as many pitches as they wanted. And so you could tell that they started to tire out towards the end of the 20 swings, but it created so much cool stuff at the end. And then the ending was just Jordan Walker coming back on. The last ball was called a maroon ball, and you could hit like that one. The very last pitch for every if you hit a homer, you got to keep going, and that's how Jordan Walker won. He needed like 3 to tie on the last ball. Like, he had to hit 3 in a row, and he hit it, and then he hit the 4th one out. The second to last one, I think the tying one, Jacob, dead center, hit the center wall and bounced out. Like, if it could have bounced in and not been a home run, it bounced out. It was so
Dang.
close. Wilson Contreras he was the first one to hit. He hit one 483, like the third home run or something like that. Third decker. It was it was fun. I love this format so much better. My boys loved it. It was especially when they were hitting those deep shots. Schwarber was hitting some monster shots out. They had Schwarber and Harper in there. It was in Philadelphia, so like they had
Right.
two superstars. It like that was really cool. Schwarber got to the finals. He was gonna win until Walker did what he did. So like it was devastating, probably for those hometown fans, but it was still really cool at the same time. It was an
That was
awesome ending.
part of the clip is like how quiet everybody got. Like they thought
Yeah.
Schwarber was going to win. And then once he hit that last one, they were like, oh,
Philadelphia was so loud for everybody else. They were just like booing the crap out of everybody else.
right.
And
Right.
like it was so funny, like with Jordan Walker early in that bat was like any out, they were cheering as loud as they would cheer for anybody as home runs. Like
Mind
it,
games. Yeah.
it was Philadelphia to the max, and it was cool. It was cool to watch. So
Real quick. Do you
um
remember like the longest home run that you've seen in person? Is there one that sticks with you where you've seen like, oh my God, they just absolutely destroyed that ball?
I think not in real life, but in batting practice, I think I told you about Mark McGwire hitting it over the statues, like Al Kaline statue, like
Yeah.
out in center field. That's by far the deepest I've ever seen one live. I can't remember in a game. I mean, I've seen like Riley Green hit some moon shots, but never been there. But what about you?
Yeah, just because I mean, the one that comes to mind is Gary Sanchez. So my cousin is a Yankees fan. So
Mhm.
we try to like, not so much recently, but we used to try to go like to a game when the Yankees came to town.
Yeah.
And I can't remember if this was when we were getting blown out or not, but Gary Sanchez steps up and just absolutely annihilates. Like I've just never seen a ball leave so fast. Just crushed it. It was like almost a 500-foot home run. And
Oh,
I mean, it just as soon as it sometimes you can tell the no doubt home runs and they're fun to see, but this was just different. It just left so fast. Just oh my God.
did you? A lot of times, like you and I watching up baseball, you could tell by the crack of the bat most of the time too. Like there's sometimes where I don't even need to see it. Like to see it, I'd be like, oh, I heard that. That's gone. You could just
Right.
tell. What
Yep. That sweet sound.
my favorite thing to do is when I'm watching a replay is to watch the crowd, like to find out when they realize that it's gone out. Like the slow-mo like reaction to like there's always the one jackass that thinks everything's a home run. Like they like a pop-up, you'll be hit, like you're like, oh, that's a pop-up. But then there's other people that you could tell like you could see their eyes. Their eyes light up and then the hands start going up or whatever. And I love that part about baseball.
I
It's
thought
fun.
you were gonna say in person. Like when somebody
Oh,
hits, like you can tell it's like a decent like fly
yeah.
ball, and then there's
Yes.
just other people that'll jump up, or they're like,
Yeah.
and it's like, no,
Yeah.
too high, guys, it's coming down.
Yeah, my eyes instantly go to the fielders. Like I just go to the outfielders to see what they're
If
doing.
they're
For the
playing
most
it or if
part,
they're just
yeah,
letting it,
like
yeah,
I mean, occasionally one is blasted so hard the fielder like doesn't even move. And in that case, you're like, it's gone. But most of the time I could tell by what the fielder's doing, whether they're having trouble with it, if they're really running, like, if they're gonna have a play on it, that's where instantly my eye goes. Depending on where I'm sitting in the stadium, you can kind of tell, but sometimes it's really hard to see the flight of the ball to know exactly. So I usually go right to the outfielders to just see where they're at. You can
I
start
do the
seeing the
same thing in
numbers
the
on the back of
replay
the
though.
jersey.
Yeah,
I'm
right. In
sorry.
the replays, like I'll look in the dugout or I'll look in the crowd
Yeah,
when they're doing like the slow motion
yeah,
thing because I do want to see the same thing. Like
yeah.
once it leaves, and you can see everybody jump at the same time, and kind of like
Especially a walk
in
off.
basketball when it's a buzzer beater shot, and you can see everybody just watching the ball, and then everybody's reaction when it goes in.
Yeah, the
Gotta love
quiet,
sports,
the quietness, like when people like
right?
it just gets deathly quiet, and as they're waiting for that shot to go in, and then you get hear the loudest explosion ever. So yeah,
I was
I
at a
think I
Pistons
told.
game when we missed the game, the game-winning
Oh,
shot
yeah,
last
you
year,
were at
and
that
it was
game.
quiet, and we lost, and then there was just like a little bit of a groan, but I think everybody was just in shock because
Yeah.
we all like when the play was going out, Duran had like a real good chance. Just it was so
Mhm.
close, we all kind of thought we're waiting to celebrate. We thought this was good, and then it fell
Yeah.
off, and then everybody's like, "Oh my God, like it's over. We
Yeah.
lost. We got to go home now."
Yeah. I paid for this. All right, man. I think it's time we head out of here. I had a great time. We'll be back next week with little Barry versus Emmett part two. Bijan Gibbs. We'll talk about that. We'll probably have some other comparisons to make. I think as we wind down the dead period and head into training camp, and then we're hoping to have, hopefully for the next 2 weeks, we're going to have some good guests on. So we'll keep the shows lively as we wrap down the position series. I am curious people's comments about our rankings. Where do we screw up? Is Jacob wildly out of base putting Steve McNair number 5 in his all-time quarterback ranking? Am I, putting Patrick Mahomes already in the top 5? Am I, well, or should I be shocked because I put Aaron Rodgers as number 5? All those are good questions to comment on. I'm here. I'm curious to hear your thoughts as we go forward. So next week we'll be back. Jacob, anything before we head out?
No, I'm shocked that you put Aaron Rodgers on this screen like that.
I know.
I did not expect that one.
I know. Did that to make you throw up a little bit. I like to make
Yep.
you sick. All right. He's Jacob. I'm Jason. Let's go Lions.